Gotta get this going. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Atchison County Commission meeting for Tuesday, June 24th. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and our county clerk will provide roll call.
Commissioner Quinn,
Present.
Commissioner Knoll,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell.
Here.
Thank you. All right, if you please stand, Mr. Cormode's here for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
As I begin this morning, I'd like you to listen to the words of Psalm number 8 and help it to instruct us today. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and infants, you have established strength because of your foes, to still the enemy and the avenger. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you care for him? You have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings, crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, and also the beasts of the field, the birds of the heaven, and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the sea. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Pray with me, please. Father, thank you that you are very mindful of this world and of this creation. Thank you that you have continued to bless and to strengthen and to guide everything that's happening. I pray, Father, this morning, your blessing of wisdom, your blessing of patience, your blessing of forthsightfulness, that the county commissioners come together today to consider the business of the county. I pray that they will act in accordance with your leadership so that your name is glorified. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment, seeing none. Approval of the agenda. I do have 3 additions to the agenda. I have a purchase order for Tunks on the 3 large culvert replacements. I have a 2025 budget purchase order for community corrections, and then a community correction payroll status form. So I will do those at the very beginning for new business, and then with those additions, I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye, passes 3-0. Consent agenda is the commission meeting minutes, and then finance director review.
All right, so for Wednesday, June 25th, the accounts payable run is $330,209.59. Out of that, lease payments that we approved last week are in for payment this week of about $87,500. And then there was a slab bridge to Norfolk Contracting for $184,626. So if you take the difference out of that, it's about $58,000 of normal expenses. Credit cards was $35.17 out of that total, and there's no payroll this week.
Thank you. All right, I look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Campbell?
This is old business, but we did have the blue-green algae discussion with Dr. Inslee out at the Effingham Blue Building. let's say it was about a week and a half ago. I want to thank our county extension office, Larissa, for managing that meeting and she did a wonderful job, and so it went well, and we gained a lot of knowledge from that meeting. So and that issue is throughout Kansas, it's throughout the entire state and the country. So it affects us all. So thank you to her.
Commissioner Knoll?
I have no comments this
Okay.
morning.
I also don't have any this week, so no presentations of petitions or proclamations. So I have the purchase order for the Road and Bridge Department out of road projects out of his budget to Tunks Construction. This is payment number 3 in the amount of $9,022.84. This is for 3 large culvert replacement. And the original contract was $175,630. So this is just a payment of that, showing the total completed and stored to date is $67,161.88. So this purchase order for $9,022.84, I would look for a motion to approve.
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. You're good. Okay, next I have a purchase order for community corrections in the amount of $3,525. This is for some office furniture to support their programming. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. And I guess we'll just sign down below here. And this is out of their budget for 2025. And I have an employee status form. So Atchison County Community Corrections, although county staff, they're funded through the state. So they go off the state budget, and the state has granted a 2.5% COLA. So with that, we as commissioners always do payroll status forms for our department heads. So I would look for a motion to approve this employee payroll status form for Catherine Sparks to change her pay rate from $40.51 to $41.53 to reflect the state allowed COLA. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Pat Henderson, County Counselor for Road and Bridge, Mr. Kuckelman and WLF Hills.
Well, we've had a discussion or several discussions over several weeks about a bridge located just off Mr. Funk's property south of town. The bridge is known as 28.9-C.5 in the county road inventory or the county bridge inventory. The bridge was shut down during the last bridge inspection, and looking at the options for repair, replacement, or leaving it as is. I think the commission's well aware of what the discussion has been. I sent a letter to Mr. Funk a week or a little more than a week ago. Mr. Kuckelman sent a response letter, which I forwarded to you all this morning. So I think we're just here for the discussion about how to move forward.
Mr. Kuckelman, come on.
Commissioners, my name is Mike Kuckelman. I represent the Funk family and the LLC, WLF Hills LLC. I've prepared, it looks like maybe you have a copy of it, but I wasn't sure because we were short on time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you bet. So, the issue with closing the bridge, first of all, the Funk family, they don't want to have a protracted fight or be difficult about this. They want to work with the county commission to get this done, but they have a real issue here. They have 500 acres back there, almost 500 acres back there that services this bridge. It's important to their family. There's crops on that land that need to come off that land, and this bridge has for decades been how crops are brought out of the field, how equipment's brought in to take care of the crops. If this bridge is removed, it completely lowers the value of that land. It will be a taking of the Constitution. We don't want to go that route. We'd rather come up with a solution with the county commissioners that makes sense to everybody. We understand that there's low traffic volume back there. So solutions could be a little different than if this were a primary bridge servicing a lot of different places. But I don't want to get caught up on the fact that there's one family back there or this 500 acres. Under the statute, 68-1126, that's not what drives it. There has been a bridge there for decades. The family has relied on that bridge being there, has relied on the county to maintain that bridge for decades. They've been paying taxes in this county. They've been a part of this county for years, and what they want is to be treated fairly. Something has to go back there, whether it's a bridge of like kind or whether there's something that's a cheaper solution. Tubes, they're open to those ideas, but there has to be something put back there. Asking them to go around is not a solution that makes sense. Asking them to enter their land at a different point raises all kinds of other costs. For example, they'll have to pull land out of production, build a new road. Building that road, we believe, would be at the county expense because taking out their access currently to save money requires them to spend their money to come up with a substitute. So it's not going to be cheaper for the county to abandon this project and tell the Funks, good luck, just go around or find a different way in, because by the time they go around another way, by the time they put in another bridge, by the time you consider what that does to the value, I've not had an appraiser out yet to tell us what's the difference in the value of the almost 500 acres with this bridge in place versus what's the value of this 500 acres without the bridge in place. But whatever that delta is, that difference, that's something I believe the county would have to pay for, in addition to the cost, whatever it takes to put in a road, even on their land, whatever that cost would be, the construction, plus the acres pulled out of production. My look at this is that really the only option any of us have is to figure out what can be put there as a substitute for the bridge. If we're not going to put back like kind, are there tubes that can be put in or something that makes it functional so that they can farm that land? And also remind you that this land is used for recreation. A lot of people go back there for hunting purposes. I think they've had, what are you running, 30 years on now with your turkey camp, they call it, which brings in probably 100 people twice a year. So it's not just them using this land. There are other people that are using it for recreation purposes. So with that, I would stand for any questions you have. I think I've outlined the case law and the statute. The statute, by the way, I mean, 1126, I think you probably looked at it. It says the board shall commence at once the proceedings necessary to repair or reconstruct the same. It's not may. The language is shall. It's mandatory, which is why I think otherwise it becomes a taking. And I did cite to a case. It's a 1921 case. There's not much case law on this. I think Pat's probably looked at it as well. But Jefferson County had this issue in 1921, and the court did say that it was a taking. I've not seen any case law that would remove what is now over 100 years of precedent in our state. So I would expect the Kansas Supreme Court would stand on this 1921 case. I've not seen any cases. And based on what I've read from Pat's research, I don't think he has found any cases that change that or in any way reduce what the obligations are since that Jefferson County case. But with that, I would stand for any questions you might have.
Well, my question to Pat is he not aware of what we've been talking about? With the Funks, we've been discussing this for months, and the culvert is nothing new. We've been talking about a culvert for ever since this thing started, I believe. So that's nothing new. I don't know what else we have to talk about. I mean, we've talked about a cost share situation. And, you know, I don't know, I can't speak for these two, but I felt it was fair. And, but the culvert, that was an idea put forward by our road and bridge, superintendent or director. And so we've been talking about that from day one.
When you say that, Commissioner Kevin, you're referring specifically to putting in some kind of tubes that would
Yeah.
offer the same functionality as a
We've been
bridge.
talking about doing that since this discussion started. And we put forth a cost share idea, and we didn't receive anything back. No meeting us halfway or part of the way, nothing. So, I mean, this is, we have put forth the effort and offered ideas, but we haven't heard anything back to meet us partway. This is, so I don't have anything further to really say on it. I think I know where I'm at with it. And I would have Pat, research this further, because it's not currently a used bridge, by anybody but these folks. So that's my problem with it, is that you talk about them paying taxes. Well, so does the county. Everybody else in the county pays taxes. 3 districts, they pay taxes. So, should they pay for someone's personal bridge? That's the question. So I would have Pat look at your case law and see if it really pertains to that situation, because I would say yes, if it's currently a used thoroughfare and the county is using that thoroughfare, I would be 100% behind this. I would say, you know what, we have to do something. We have to replace that bridge. And we have to be responsible going down the road. But because it services one property, I don't think this is, I don't believe that's what this was intended for. I think this was to say, okay, if it's a thoroughfare and people are using it, that's one thing. But the thoroughfare is now River Road, and it has been for 50 some odd years. That's the thoroughfare that goes around that property. That property used to have the only way to get back and forth, but now it's no longer that. It hasn't been for 50 some odd years. So that's my issue with it. That's where I come from.
Sure, if I could respond, Commissioner Campbell, when you say it's a private bridge, actually it's not. It's a county bridge. I mean, it's designated bridge 29.8-C.5. That's a county bridge. It's not a private bridge. It doesn't own, the Funks don't own that bridge. It's not their responsibility to maintain it. They don't own it. They can't close it. It's not their bridge. They can't put a gate up and say nobody can cross this bridge. It's ours. It's just not true. The county would say, get your gates down. That bridge is open to the public. If I want to go down there and drive an ATV on that bridge, I have every right to do it. It's a county bridge. The folks cannot stop me from taking my ATV on that bridge. It's designated a county bridge, 29.8-C.5. I can use the bridge all I want. Anyone else can. The second thing I would say, if we get into a situation in this county where we're going to start saying, I, as a taxpayer, am willing to use tax dollars for things that I use, but not things I don't use, we're going to have a real problem. I own real estate on 5th Street downtown. I own real estate out south. I don't use Santa Fe Terrace. I don't want to pay for Santa Fe Terrace. I don't need to drive through Santa Fe Terrace. It goes nowhere. Riverview Drive. It goes nowhere. I don't want to drive on Riverview Drive. It only benefits people who live on Riverview Drive. I don't think we can ever say to people, because your street only services your neighborhood, the rest of us in the county aren't paying for it, or the city in that case. We're not paying for roads we don't drive on. That's not a luxury anyone has. The system has never worked that way. And therefore, I don't think it's fair for the county commission to start saying, well, this road services only certain people, and therefore they must pay for the road, or the county's not going to do anything with it. That's not fair. That's not how it works. It's not the law. And we just shouldn't start down that path. It's a dangerous path to go down. The bridge is a county bridge and the county needs to put it back. Otherwise, if we don't, then we're going to be involved in this thing for years because we will have litigation about what is the value of the land. The county will have to hire an appraiser. We'll have to hire an appraiser and figure out what's the value of the land with a bridge, as it's been for decades. What's the value of the land without a bridge? Because that would be new. And our point would be that that would be a county cost. In other words, I don't think the county saves a dollar by not putting something there that is as functional as what has been there for decades. And I know the Funks are willing to work with you in terms of functionality. They want to be able to use their land as they have for decades. They've had this land since probably 50s or 60s, I think. And they've used it since the 60s. Every day of the year, they've been able to use their land since the 1960s. Here we are in 2025, and the county commission is saying, well, maybe, we're not going to put the bridge back and you'll have to find a different way. That's not fair and reasonable. That's why when I mentioned to Pat, I do think it constitutes a taking under the Constitution. And I think the 1921 Jefferson County case establishes that point. I think it upholds that point that it would be a taking by the county if something's not put back there. And whether it's a bridge that like kind, which I don't know what that would cost, but I'm sure it'd be very expensive, or the county comes up with a solution where there's some kind of tubes put in, but it functions the same. They can get their equipment in and out. Their guests, recreational users can all get in there and get out. That's what they seek. One of those two options, either put it back the way it was, like kind. But if you don't want to do that because of cost, then the Funk family is willing to accept that it's going to be lesser than a bridge. It would be culverts, but they would get their farm equipment in and out, and their guests would get it in and out.
So you would be satisfied with the bridge back at the 7-ton level? I mean, the like kind is the weight limit of that it was a year ago.
And Commissioner, that's a great question, because if the county did put back like kind, it's going to be very, very expensive, and it has less functionality than if you put tubes in. So tubes are cheaper and more functional. It seems to me the logic here is use tubes that have the ability for people to get in and out, farm equipment.
But that isn't necessarily like kind. You said several times that you were satisfied with having a bridge of like kind. I mean, we could get that up to that 7-ton level, and they're still basically at the same thing. They can't go across it with a semi and heavy equipment. So it's either like kind or an upgrade to a culvert.
Well, I don't know that it's an upgrade because it's cheaper for the county. I think
It would be to get to carry the legal limits.
Sure,
and plus there would have to be right away to get around. There would have to be right away and other things because it would no longer be on the current right away.
Well, Commissioner, I think that you make a great point, because it sounds like with the tubes, that becomes a win-win. The weight limit is increased, the county saves money. To me, that's a win-win. I think the family would have better use of it that way because they want it for farm equipment primarily. But
Also, it was observed that they did get their beans planted. There was tractor and planter has accessed that property, and they didn't cross the bridge.
Yeah, there's a way they can go around. I mean, I think Mr. Henderson made that point. They can go around, they can build new road. But again, to do that, we're going to have an issue because it does lower the value of the property, and they're going to have to build something more substantial on an alternate route to get in, and they're going to pull land out of production, and we're going to have a road into their land from another direction. And because right now that's not always an option to get in and out of there. You know how harvest is. Farmers are at the will of the weather and God Almighty in regard to that. So some of their alternative routes aren't routes that if the weather turns bad and when you're up in time crunch during harvest, that's not a great solution. I think your first point is the best, that putting the culverts in actually increases the amount of weight that can cross there, which is a win for them. I think that would satisfy them, make them happy. That is a plus, while at the same time it saves the county money, because it seems ridiculous for the county to spend 5 times as much, for example. I don't have the numbers, but if it's about 5 times, whatever it is, to put the exact same bridge there, why spend all the extra money if it's not necessary?
We wouldn't have to put a brand new bridge.
We can repair it.
We could
we can
repair the
actually
bridges
repair
there and they would be at the like kind level. And they would still be unable to use it for harvest.
Well, that could be, if you can get an engineer to certify it to reopen it, and then the county maintains it here on out to keep it open. To me, that's up to the county commission, but that sounds like you're just gonna be throwing good money after bad. It's kind of like a car when it gets about 200,000 miles. You come to the decision point, am I gonna keep throwing money in this car? Or is it time just to call it quits and put something else in?
But they want us to maintain the culvert.
It is a county crossing. That's a
Right,
county road.
Right. So either way, we're gonna be maintaining something.
Right. I would assume that your road and bridge folks could give you the numbers on that. I would assume it's much cheaper to maintain the culvert than it is to maintain a bridge.
I might say something. When we first come up with this problem, Joe called me up there on Sunday morning, I believe, or Saturday morning. Anyway, the first thing we thought about was the culvert. I think Joe agreed that would probably be the simplest, easiest, cheapest way to go. And actually, the county, somebody spent money to have Swab Eaton look at this and give their recommendations, and they did. I never hear any more about that. I don't know why. Looks like you've ignored them. They're what they thought anyway. And I'm not saying that they're right, but I don't know why you've completely ignored theirs, and theirs was consisted of tubes.
No, we haven't ignored anything. We've looked at all that information.
Well, we never hear them talk
Yeah.
about Swab Eaton's,
Yeah,
what they said.
we can go back and look at minutes and we can
Well,
look at all that, but it was brought up. It was brought up, yeah. We were from the beginning working with you and your family on this, from the beginning, trying to figure out a way. So from Joe's first being on the scene and offering ideas to sharing them with the commission, and we've been working from day one. So, and it's still my opinion that the county cannot continue to pay for these kind of structures. They just can't do it. Taxes are terribly high right now as it is. And it's my opinion that we can't do it. I'm one of three. So I can't, I won't be making the final decision on this thing, but I will just say that regardless of what we found here, we know this particular situation is different from some of the examples you've cited. This particular situation is different, and there are others like that in the county. The county cannot continue to pay for these structures if they benefit, one particular piece of land. We just can't do it. Now, that's just my opinion. But I'm prepared to pass it on to council, but I'll let you two decide what you want to do, but.
Well, so that's where I am on needing the clarification, because from all of the legwork and discussions we've had so far, the cost of redoing the piling for the same bridge was more than the two culverts that were proposed from the engineering study. The culverts solved many problems as far as weight, and for whoever's responsibility is, that's the question I need to know. If we put on here, construct a private culvert crossing, to put it on the landowner, but this saying that the board shall commence at once to repair or reconstruct the same. So
That's not what it says. It says shall commence at once the proceedings necessary. And we did commence those proceedings.
okay,
And the result of that proceeding can be the decision not to build a bridge. The statute does not say you must build a bridge. And you look a little further in the letter and it talks about a taking, but read carefully. It says when the bridge is the sole means of ingress and egress to a plaintiff's farm. That's not the case here. There are at least two other places where they currently have access to county roads or township roads onto the property. This is a policy decision that the three of you will need to make. It's being couched as if it's a legal argument where there's just a blunt force trauma. You have to do this. The law says you have to do this. We've had discussions about what the law says. I don't think I don't think that the law mandates the specific outcome that Mr. Kuckelman is asking of you today. But there are all sorts of lawsuits that get filed where there are people on both sides who think that there are differences of what the law means. Then arguably that's why they built this building, so that there would be a place for those to be resolved. I don't know that there's a whole lot more to say about it, but I think it is a policy decision that you need to make. The argument that this has been a county road and that the county has maintained it and probably built this structure and that they've relied upon that for decades is a compelling argument. But it's a policy argument. It's not a legal one. And that's where I think you find yourselves.
Well, I'd just like to reiterate that from day one, we were of the opinion that we were going to work and compensate. From day one, work and compensate to make this thing, to fix this. And the quickest way and the cheapest way was the culvert. And our folks brought that forward. And our folks got the study completed to do that. So no matter how this goes, I'm still willing to go that route. As a commissioner, I'm still willing to work with you on the culvert, the cost share, and then you taking it over. I'm no matter how this goes, I'm still willing to do that because I think that's the right thing to do for you and for the county. I think it's right. The offer that we made that clearly council's not aware of, because we're not hearing any of that, any of the discussion that took place, in the past, we're not hearing it. It's all like, this is new. Well, it's not new. We have reached out, we have offered cost share, and that was not received well. Every time you came back and said, no, the county's doing this, the county's doing that. And that's where we are. That's why we're here.
Now, I might respond to what you said. And I've heard that, but I maintain that is not our bridge. We should not have to pay it. It's a county bridge. And that's not on our property. It's a county property now, or has been for county township for years. I don't know that I should have to maintain it now. I sure wouldn't mind doing something with a culvert. Instead of calling the county down every time their tree got in front of it or something, like I wouldn't do that. But I don't know who the next person along, how they'll react, and we've got tenants that rely on this property down there for some of their income. And you seem to kind of forget about that.
No, we like I said, from day one, we were trying to come up with a solution, and we actually presented that solution to you from day one. So we did not sit on this. This was addressed right away.
Well, that's the reason I kind of didn't take that too serious, because it's not our bridge, it's a county bridge. And it's not on our property.
Okay, so the property on the side that you enter and exit on is not yours.
Right.
How is that?
Where you enter on us for sure. Now, I don't know how far, we go past it, but
it services your property. It comes out.
It does that.
When I step off the west end of that bridge or whatever that north end, that's your property. When I step off whatever direction that is, sir, when I step off the end
the west end gets to be our property
Okay.
pretty quick. I don't know where it is, the
Far end.
line exactly,
Thank
but
you.
it,
Whatever direction that is, I get turned around when I'm down.
but the
there.
east part where you go
Yeah.
approach it is not our property.
Right, but the other side services your property.
But the culverts would be off to the side and that would be
I
from
don't know
private
why you
property to
would put the
private
culvert
property.
off to the side.
So the only reason to put a culvert to the side would be to get it done in a quicker manner, because with the current wooden bridge structure, I think there's three things here. If we determine the culvert's the best way to go, putting it to the side will allow us to then apply to get money back from the state to take the wooden structure out. So-
I wouldn't have any problem with moving it right beside it to the south.
And-
Well, I can't say for the north because that's not our property.
Yep, and that, the only reason of that is the application process is in May. So we've missed May 25, so we would apply in May 26, but you can't remove the structure until you're awarded the dollars from the state to then put toward another structure. But from this, I feel like, to summarize where we're at, of we need to determine if the culvert, everybody's in favor, that's the best solution from cost to just an end solution of weight and being able to utilize it in all the manners needed for the future. My answer would be yes. The second question is it going to be a cost share with the county and the landowner? We need to determine that. And then whatever that looks like, who owns the solution? Is it going to be the county owning it or the landowner owning it? Because either way, the goal here is to create a solution that no one has to worry about for many years to come. And that's why we want it to be a win-win for everybody. Of you don't have to worry about the weight limit on an old wooden structure. You know, you're setting it basically and forgetting it for a solution for everybody. And then just all of us determining what those paths forward. But I feel like the culvert, to me, but everything I've heard and listened to over the past couple months, the culvert is a no-brainer in my opinion. And with the engineered report backing it up of this is the best solution, you know, the culverts seem to be the way to go. And
So
then,
I have a question.
yes, sir.
If culverts were decided to be put in, and moved a different or a different spot than where the current bridge is, would that bridge then be taken off of the database of bridges for the state of Kansas? And if that is, then the county would not have to do any maintenance because it would then be a private crossing, is that correct? Is that where the cost share part would come in?
So the cost share, so the state will pay you to take them out of your inventory and then to put it toward other structures. So yes, to answer your question, the bridge structure being removed would no longer be on the county inventory. I don't know if it's up to the county whether or not they classify the culvert solution to be county or private. I'm just trying.
That would depend on what agreement.
Yep.
If any we would have.
Okay.
So it clearly take an agreement though.
Okay.
To move it off of the county's responsibility.
It would clearly take an agreement to move it off the county's responsibility. So
Yes.
the landowner would agree.
Yes,
Okay. And if they don't, if that wasn't the agreement, then
well, then we're
the county would
in the
just,
situation we're in right now.
yeah,
What should be done,
but
if anything, to replace this bridge.
yeah.
So if there's not an agreement, probably nothing gets done.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing to the county taking this on 100%. I'm just not. We can negotiate through Mr. Coughlin with you guys if for that, but I'm not gonna agree for the county to take it on 100%. I just think it's we're setting up, you know, a precedent here, and I just It's just not right for the entire county to pay for that structure. But having said that, when you asked about the cost share, so our idea was, hey, we're gonna get compensated for a bridge, taking out a bridge that does you guys no good. Cause you're currently, you're going above and beyond the, whatever that was rated at. Was it 5 tons? 7. You're going above and beyond that. So we know that. So it doesn't do you any good to have that bridge put back in. So our thought was, let's take the state's compensation and let's give it to the funks, and let's replace it with something that better fits their needs. But let's ask for compensation because it is no longer a thoroughfare for the county. The river road is now the current way around that property. It's no longer used. I think I remember you saying, sir, that you remember as a child when that road was a county road and it was used as such. Well, we know that was 50 plus years ago that thing was actually used as a thoroughfare for the county. So it's my opinion that we offer you the same, the same agreement. We offer you the same amount, but we no longer, maintain it after the fact. We offer you the percentage that we did before, and that you guys cost share the difference, and then it's your culvert after that. That's my proposal. You end up better off than you were because now you can cross that with anything you want at any weight. And so I think you're in a better place that way. That's just my opinion.
But I don't remember, maybe I missed a meeting or something, but I don't remember what our cost was gonna be. I mean, and I don't have that paper with me, but what percentage it was. I mean, you say cost share, well, that could be 10% to 90% county and 10% us. I don't remember any offer of what the percentage was. And I might.
I don't think there was ever anything that formalized because a lot of
Well,
it was based upon kind of rough estimates that. the
Right,
road
from
bridge-
the engineer's report.
Well, I don't think they were even from the engineer report. I think
Just
they
from Joe.
may have just been experience of the county and what we've done in other situations and what that cost. So they were extremely rough numbers. I don't think there was ever anything that was formalized and written down.
And we'd be happy to do that. We'd be happy to offer that up and give you that. If we could come to some kind of agreement, in that direction.
And you really have two issues because you're talking about the future, who's going to maintain it. But you're also, Commissioner Campbell, adding to it that there would be a cost share on building. And that's the part that I'm in trouble with though, because something has to be put back there by the county. And I'm glad the county can get some money from the state when they take down the bridge to contribute towards it. That's helpful. But the delta there belongs to the county, not to one family. And again, I understand why you say their family is the one benefiting from the bridge, but if we're gonna do that, then are we starting down a path where we go around the county and say, I don't go to certain parts of the county, I don't want the county to pay for bridges in those parts of the county, because we're really gonna have a divided county, because people on the north side of the county are gonna say, well, I'm not paying for any bridges on the south side, and vice versa.
That's a generalization. This is specific. This is more specific than that. That's a generalization. That's saying the city has to pay for my driveway.
No, your driveway is a private property.
They're saying that, no. What you're saying is down the road, that any person that has a property that's not serviced any longer, that the general public does not use, that it has to be maintained in perpetuity, that every road in the county, no road can be closed, no bridge can be taken off the county books because one person might suffer the consequences. That's what you're saying. You're saying that we have to maintain every road, every bridge in perpetuity.
I'm not saying that.
Sure you are.
No, because you
You're
have to
setting a
look at
precedent.
each That's not you, if I were you as a county commissioner, I would never say one of these cases is a precedent, because you have to look at each individual case on its own merit. There may well be properties that have equal access into their property from multiple points. There may be well-traveled roads all around them. This property isn't one of that. You'd be able to distinguish this property from other properties in the county. So I would encourage county commission never to say that whatever they do in this situation is binding on future, because I don't think that's true. I think
I've been to that property several times. We've been there as a group several times, so. I know that it's individual in its own way. Trust me. We've researched this, we've looked at it. So that part, I already know. We know that for a fact. And we want to work with these folks to get the culvert put in, but it's gonna take, I think, a little more back and forth. I mean, because I'm stuck on this thing and I can't get off of it. I don't know where you guys stand on this.
On this, what you're talking about, sharing cost. If the county would put in a bridge, or, let's say a culvert. I
Sure.
said a bridge, but let's
Yeah.
say a culvert, because
Sure.
that's cheaper. I mean, you know, I'd just as soon have that. If they'd put it in, a good one, I mean, you know, like it's supposed to be, maybe head walls, sure riprap on both ends. If you did that right, I might be in favor of going ahead and doing that, and we maintain the culvert, to grading it up when it needed to be, and you know, but as far as us paying 50% or whatever, I'm not sure not gonna do that.
That's an accomplishment, hearing that. I appreciate that, because we haven't heard anything up to this point. We just have not heard anything from your side. It's all been one-sided, and we have not heard anything. So I appreciate that. I really do.
Did you, the county, get funds from the state for taking care of bridges?
It's in our budget. I mean, we have to budget it.
There's one thing I would like to correct. Apologize here. So when we apply for a new bridge, those funds, it's a minimum of $50,000. But usually it's $1,000 a foot. Now that money, if we're accepted, goes directly for our cost share, part of our cost share on the next bridge. So the funds to help fund this would come out of probably road and bridge budget, would be my guess, is where the commissioners would look. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. We won't be able to take the money actually from that bridge and put it towards you. It's something that would have to come out of our budget. Did I make that to where everybody can understand it?
It's an amount equal to, but not
Yes,
directly
right.
from
But it's so like we've got one we're doing right now, up north of town. And that money, that $90,000, they figure it right in when they award the bridge, and that comes off the cost. So we're issued that money sits there until the bridge is being built, and then we pay that money back.
Does that work on a culvert? Well, and you
So
said
if
bridge now.
if we take this bridge out
Yeah.
of inventory, we can no longer get funding through the state or federal for a facility put back in its place. So no, we won't be able to get money to help with that crossing
In the future.
in the future. From that point, from when we take that off the National Bridge inventory, we cannot get funding again to do anything there.
To do anything on that particular one or any of them?
That crossing or whatever we put in there, we're not gonna get any more money from anywhere.
For future maintenance.
Yes, because the program is to get these bridges out off the inventory. Is what the
Future
program
maintenance
is.
or construction. They won't get money for construction or future maintenance.
I just wanted to kind of, if everybody, if I'm making sense to everyone.
Well, is that even possible, what I said? The county puts in a good culvert. Like it, I mean, you know, something that's good
Substantial.
and wide enough. You all know they'll slough off, they all settle, you're gonna have to grade them back up in a few years, you know, Highway 73, all the work they did on it, it's settled on each end. And so I don't expect the county to be any better than that. There's gonna be some maintenance. I wouldn't mind doing that kind of maintenance. As far if that thing would get washed out in 10 years, and we have one of them 500-year floods, am I done with it? I don't get any, county ain't gonna help me put that back. Is that right?
Right, yeah, if you take.
With
if you
your-
Take possession, yeah, if you were to take possession after the fact, yeah, it's yours.
You're completely done with it, the county, I mean.
Well, if we come to that agreement, yeah. If that.
Well, I mean, that's something to think about, cause you know, that river does back up in there, it creates no current or anything when it backs up, but can soften up things around there, you know, if you don't have enough riprap, it'd have to be a good. And I don't think I can make the decision for my sisters.
That sounds like the answer is to get a proposal. Is that right, from the county of to what, as to future maintenance, and then also what it's gonna be replaced with, and see how that proposal works.
It's kind of like us. I can't give you an answer without talking with my fellow commissioners. So, you know, sounds to me like we're getting closer to at least maybe some back and forth with some proposals.
I still don't know about that not being on our property, whether, you know, how that can work in the future.
So we'll have to check into that of what we have on our maps. When we were down there visiting the bridge, Mrs. Holdridge came over and visited with us.
Yeah,
And her understanding was there wouldn't be an issue putting it right there based on your property. But again, they would have to double check that on the maps but she was very kind and understood and
I don't know if she realized that she cannot get to her property now. Unless she drives that 2 miles through the timber for us to go down to it.
yeah.
Through our property.
Through our property, yeah.
She's landlocked without the bridge.
Yes.
It's closed.
She's landlocked right now, yeah.
She's aware that their Holdridge property is landlocked.
Okay.
On discuss it. She's
Yeah.
aware of that.
And she was showing us where she keeps her horses over there when we were down there, so. All right, so we will get something together and
Yeah, we can come up with, formalize what you've talked about into a proposal for sure, yeah.
yes.
My
Commissioner
name
Cole?
is Bill Pohl, kind of neighbors of the Funks. I think you're getting too deep in the weeds. I think there's a very simple solution of a cost share. Have the Funk family buy the tube, have the county put it in, and that's probably about 50-50. And then from then on, it's the Funk's responsibility.
Thank you, Commissioner Cole.
Also, if there's any money for tearing the old bridge out, the Funk family needs to receive some of that to help pay for the cost of their tubes. My opinion.
All right, so Mr. Henderson will reach out to Mr. Kuckelman and
Yeah, we maybe put this out 2 weeks. If we're gonna,
Okay.
July 8th.
So you're saying have another meeting in 2 weeks and
Well, or at least we
Get a
have,
proposal through.
we have a proposal to.
Well, I have to have time to, get the numbers and everything gathered that we need.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
And there's
have much availability in the rest of the week. But I think 2 weeks is. Well, we need longer than that.
Well, I think that, I'm gonna need some time, and one of the guys I talked to, I believe, is on vacation right now,
Okay.
so I didn't know if there's.
4th of July's in there as well.
Yeah.
Well, you wanna go towards the end of July then? Or mid-July?
Well, couldn't there be some back and forth in the meantime and then set up something
Certainly, yeah.
after? I mean, sometimes it's hard to know what you don't know. I mean, maybe after
Without
some,
actual figure.
Number.
yeah,
I mean,
and
We're
then,
not gonna sit on this, we haven't, from the
right,
very beginning, it's just availability of the people I need to talk to. Sometimes, they have schedules to, getting everything done, it's a little bit longer.
Well, so do we need to push it out to what? 15th or 22nd?
Well. We need to determine if the county is going to put numbers together to look forward to doing it. We have to do the proper channels of an RFP and specifications so that we give everybody the opportunity to bid.
So I think
So,
we may need a meeting today,
Yeah.
if that's possible. So we can discuss
because,
what direction I am to.
yeah, and if you do a bunch of homework on this side, it's not gonna help us
No.
get,
no,
yeah,
correct,
so.
correct. So I
we
think that's
will-
something we need.
Yeah,
to
we
do.
need to determine if the county's gonna put the culvert in, then we need to do an RFP and get the ball rolling. I mean, to
Yes.
get numbers.
So if we could have that today, that'd be great.
Okay.
You're gonna get the numbers, and then Mr. Henderson and I will work after that to see what the details look like.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, I would look for a motion to approve and file the May EMS report as presented by our EMS director last week.
So,
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye, passes 3-0. Let's see. You good? Okay. Mr. Ian Saxton with the Atchison County Lake Committee. We're gonna put Mr. Zeltner after him. Thank you, Mr. Saxton, for coming. Come on up. He has an Atchison County Lake update.
Alrighty. Got handouts, maybe an old fashioned, I don't know. You.
You?
Thank you.
I get it, so you got all.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So there's 2 pages on the front, and it says the Atchison County Lake policy. And then the other 2 pages. So myself and Road and Bridge, we had a lovely meeting where we kind of laid out both of our responsibilities. Of what I'm looking at taking on, what he's going to continue to do. So that's just that quick little summary of it, just a little write-up. But the Atchison County Lake policy is something that through our meeting, that's kind of what we're looking at moving forward. I know there's some talking with Joe, there's some stuff that Mr. Henderson probably needs to look at possibly before we just go ahead and make this public, if that makes sense. But it's kind of short and sweet. And if there's any kind of militaristic things in there, I apologize. I write standard operating procedures for a living. So if it says anything like that, please let me know.
Just maybe one typo up here. It says
Uh-oh.
Public Works Department. That should probably be Road and Bridge because there is no Public Works Department.
So this is the public works itself, because you have public works and then road and bridge is right underneath it. So on the website, that's what I saw. Right?
But there is no department of, public work. So
'Cause that's
that's something that I was just gonna point it out.
okay. Okay. After, I mean, other than the public works,
Maybe that needs to be updated on our website because.
and that it's
Where is that? So
In our hierarchy chart,
mhm.
it probably has that and then subcategories of solid waste, road and bridge.
correct.
Got it.
So, and that's where
Yeah.
the county lake would be, just kind of in that smattering, if you will.
Oh, yeah, it is. Public Works, household hazardous waste, noxious waste, recycling, road and bridge, transportation.
So if that's something that needs to be changed, then
Yeah, that's on our end.
okay. I didn't think I was that crazy, y'all. I mean, come on now.
Well, as you try to streamline it,
Mhm.
and then if you something there that is in charge of public works, well, who's our public works director? Well, we have a road and bridge, but we don't have,
We
why create a problem with these?
understandable, of course.
I like it.
Okay. It was really short and sweet. And as I told our committee, if there's anything that comes up, we're gonna go ahead and make those changes. But with that, I don't necessarily know how the county handles policy, like writing it and all that. I don't know if it's a matter of putting something a little bit more formal, send it to you guys to sign. I don't know. That's kind of what my big ask is.
I don't know if we need to have that, that's a question.
Of course.
We're stating that the
Yeah,
expenditure of county lake funds through that, how that channels have to go through, or, there's some things in there legally.
Yeah, I saw this really more as a framework of how you intended to do things, and try to accomplish, that really setting out policies. I think of policies as rules.
Okay.
Things like that.
Okay.
But that may not be how that word's usually are used in all contexts. I think but it seemed fairly clear in there that all expenditures have to be approved by the board. Right. So I think it's okay.
So rather than adopting policy, just a motion to approve this as presented by the committee chair would be as sufficient.
Yeah,
Yep.
you could do that, or if you want something more formal, we could work on creating something.
Well, it's
It'll be in the minutes. I think
Okay.
that would be,
it's good enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, how about for the intention?
Like revenue go, I mean, when you have people that are renting this, is that going directly into a county fund?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go, and that's how that's gonna go. So if,
basically
we
you're
have-
setting it up, but then, okay, so it's not going to you and then you, yeah.
no,
I
mean,
was
if-
gonna say that would.
no, because I mean, we're ultimately trying to make it, live on itself and then generate something for the county. So, and that's
Well, I don't remember hearing how the revenue side was coming.
right. And that's slow moving as it goes, but I've been working with Mark and we're hashing things out as it comes. So there's that part. And if you look at the very top, this is a little, I mean, you have to put your cheaters on maybe, but that's kind of the Atchison County Lake little emblem that we came up with. And that's just kind of for the next 2 years, because what we'd like to do honestly is, since it has been the community that said, no, let's keep it. I want them to have a little contest or something saying, what would you like to see for the Atchison County Lake emblem or the logo or whatever. But for the next 2 years, this is what we're looking at. So, okay.
All right, so I'd look for a motion to adopt the Atchison County Lake policy as presented by Committee Chair Ian Saxton. Of the motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. Somebody was kind of period.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So the next thing is the Facebook page. Trudy went ahead and got it kind of popped up. For whatever reasons, we could not make it not public, so it's very generic at the moment. So if you go on Facebook right now, I know you're broken, but it's, if you just put in Atchison County Lake, you type it in there, you're going to see just what that is. The overall intent is bringing in rules, as in we're not politically driven. We're just going to give information, what's going on with the lake, any kind of activities, all of that. But we didn't want to put that on there so people enact on it, because talking with Joe, we're looking at kind of taking over about October 1st with that whole policy thing. October 1st to, you said the beginning of the year, that was that time frame we were looking at?
Need a transition period
Yes.
from October 1st to the first of the year to get everything.
Right.
It gives some time and us time to notify, and if they have their website and everything up,
Right.
then we can get the information out to the public.
Right. So that way it's just easy transition, because we don't want to shock people. But then we'll go ahead and put that in there, do the transition of, and that's what we're kind of looking at with the Facebook page. Was there, because I know Commissioner Campbell, you
Am
were
I looking up Atchison County?
Atchison County Lake on Facebook. It's going to be on Facebook. I'm sorry. I should preface that.
No, I it just keeps going to the Atchison County website.
Maybe she was able to lock it down. Because if that's the case, then I'll send it to you guys via Facebook if you
Yeah.
can't find it.
That's
So,
fine. I'll friend you and
okay.
we'll make it work.
Awesome. But essentially we're looking at just, that's what we want to do with our Facebook page, kind of talk about the transition, working closely with Road and Bridge, because you saw in our policy that whenever we have our committee meeting, we grab those minutes together and we're sending them out to, of course, you guys, Road and Bridge, and then the county clerk. So that way everybody's in the know. So as soon as we get that going with the Facebook page, then we'll move on from there. And also, better news, we have been accepted as being a foundation. So we have a foundation for the Atchison County Lake. So if people wanted to donate, that'll probably be another thing on that website, on that page. So that way people can do that. We're looking at doing that match day in August here in Atchison. So that's going to be good. Think that was it. I've been getting comments from the public, and it's all been positive. We have had a cleanup day. I'll tell you what, some of those shelter houses were pretty nasty. We had to sadly, we had to clean up and had to call the sheriff to dispose of needles and whatnot, but that's kind of our protocol moving forward. So that's going to be part of what the committee is going to be doing, volunteers to ensure that that kind of stuff doesn't happen again. You can't say it's not going to happen again, but this is us mitigating as best we can. So met with a Officer Sinclair with the Atchison County Sheriff's Department. He actually lives in close proximity, so he gave me his card. So anything comes up, he'll be in quicker response than anybody else, because I don't know if anybody else that lives in that area. I know there's been people have been talking, and I don't know if it's more of a casual way or more of a professional way that they want, if whatever they do with the Atchison County Lake, because the wholesaling, that's something we're trying to calm down. Like, we're not selling, we want to bring everything together and make it more advantageous for that. So that's essentially what we're going to do. So if people come and ask me about wanting to sell land, like the Atchison County wants to sell parcels of land, the committee's approach to that is no, we are not going to do that. We're not going to entertain that. I love ideas. Ideas are wonderful. That is not an idea that I'm going to flirt with. So just so you all know how that's going to go. Other than that, that's all I have, commissioners. Any questions?
I'm just saying, there was no discussion at our level of, well, maybe just piecemeal off. So that,
Right.
we're see eye to eye on that.
No, yeah, we're not
It's either or.
playing that game.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's
She
the
pulled it
Facebook.
up, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's really. pretty accurate.
If I may,
Oh,
well, you gave me that photo.
Yeah.
I just ran a copy for each
Awesome.
of you of
Thank you.
the items that were part of that photo that Ian helped detailed to me this morning.
Nice.
So
Nice.
so
I give you an idea of what has
Thank
come from you.
Thank you.
So actually, go ahead and just go ahead and review what you're looking at in front of you, and let me know if you have any questions on this, because this is really the path forward. I mean, I was going to go ahead and no, look at it. No, you want to look at it. You can.
I can send it to you electronically.
She wants to.
Yeah, that'd be great too, if you would.
Because on what is it, July 22nd, you guys want the overall plan. This is part of the overall plan. This is you can call it a sneak peek, if you will, of what we're moving forward with. So
Walking watercraft ramp, is that like to be able to put in your kayak or whatever?
So that's yeah. And family and I actually went out and saw how deep the lake is, and it's pretty funny. Because where the kayak ramp is, that's probably the deepest spot. And that is, I put an oar in there, and I think that's probably about 3 to 4 feet deep. That's about it. So, but then once it goes towards the river to Clear Creek going upstream, essentially, it's not that deep at all. It's just an oar length. So, I mean, if you want to ever try out kayaking, I say come to the Atchison County Lake, because it's the safest place to go. Because if you fall out, you just stand up. You're still good to go. So I say come on out. There's also been some businesses starting to pop up. There is a kayak rental that's going to be available about the 4th of July weekend, and that's Clear Creek Kayak Rentals. So this is what's popping up around the lake. I don't know if on the Facebook page, if that is an allowed thing of putting one's business on there. I don't know. I'm looking for you guys for guidance on that.
It'll draw people to the lake.
It will. However, it's the lake is now endorsing that, and I don't know how that necessarily looks.
Where would this be? Where would this business be located?
So
Somebody's home?
it's out of someone's home. And so if it's a matter of, from what I'm understanding, because I'm not saying I have a hand in it, because I really don't. They would come up to the lake and here's your kayak, hop in, life vest, and go have fun, be responsible type thing. So it's
I don't know how that is.
I think if the transaction was on private property at their home, I don't think there's anything,
Yeah, but
whether
if they're bringing them to the lake.
Can they, I think they could tag themselves on the page, like,
oh, that's okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like, copy your link, because that's what people do, like in the other chat groups of, it's like, hey, FYI, this will be downtown on Saturday, and they basically tag themselves, so it's not you endorsing something as a lake, but there's visibility so people can use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a thought, I don't know.
And because this company's involved, it doesn't change our liability at all. No, okay.
I mean, like I said, it's safe. All you have to do is stand up. So
Yeah.
I think we're really, I know what you mean.
No, I understand, but I'm glad that we have somebody that's actually been in it now and can tell us
Yeah,
it's definitely silted in.
it is silted in.
Okay.
It is definitely silted in. Honestly, been there for majority of my life, and we went up the Clear Creek itself, and there's I've never done that, and it's probably a different world that you've never known about. So I implore you guys to come out, go up Clear Creek, and see what's happening. It's phenomenal. I've been around the world, and there's some places that's very comparable to. So, yeah. But yep, there's any questions on the map on kind of what we're pushing forward with?
What's the eventual numbers we're looking at? How many sites, RV, tent, so forth? Do you have kind of just a ballpark figure, what you're looking?
Yes. So the RV camping with utilities we're going to start out with the 4 to 5 that we kind of mentioned before. And then we would like to expand to 10. I don't want it to be over like too much because people come out there to relax. You don't want to have that
Right.
city environment, if you will, where you're close to each other. As for the tent camping, so there's many different kinds of tent camping. You can see there's some green all over the place.
Yep.
That south shelter house, the south side, we're still trying to figure out those numbers, but probably the same thing with the 10. The tent camping that is right off of Anthony Dahl's, that's one location. That is just one location. And then the tent camping on what we call it the Boy Scout camp. We still call it that, even though it's no longer that. That is that can honestly be a venue spot as well. And so I mean, with that right there, you can have 1-2 camping spots there as well. But then the playground area, we have that, and then the other shelter house, we're looking at possibly 1 or 2 playground areas where it says Horton Water. Just north of that is where that other shelter house is.
Okay.
So a lot of good ideas. My committee has thrown so many ideas. It's just a matter of, itemizing them, if you will. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. What are you gonna say?
Just, no,
Okay.
it's all good.
Okay. Okay. Also where it says the Horton Water on that north side of it all, that is that we call it hay grounds, or it's the old ball field. We're looking at probably that same time when the transitioning coming over. That's a good spot to start a little bit of revenue. There needs to be probably a lease agreement with that person who's currently doing that hay ground, so we can get a little bit more income coming in as well. So that is essentially we can call it a guaranteed moneymaker. I could talk to Mr. Keel and see if he is still willing to do that, because he's the one that's currently doing that. Other than that, that's it. I had a really good conversation with Roger, because on one of the older maps it looked like Mr. Q owns some land to the north, just that little point down here. But honestly, I guess he told me that it was read wrong. So
Okay.
there's everything on the interior of the road. All the things in the interior is owned by the Atchison County Lake, by
I guess
yes, sir.
up there at the Horton Water, that is excluded from being inside.
That's the only thing. That's the
So-
only thing that's outside of it.
So is that owned by Horton? Horton Water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you get the rental off of the hay ground?
So that's,
I think you're talking about this little
yeah, it's,
corner up here.
so this one up here,
In the blue.
So it's,
yeah. But
If
then
it's outside, I mean, it's not actually part of the lake property.
it's inside.
it's inside.
If you look at what he's
The,
talking
the
about
red line
up
is,
here. Is this little section, is what he's talking about. Hey,
okay, but I'm talking about what's actually in the blue.
Mm-hmm.
It's owned by Horton.
Yes.
So that's not the rental you're talking.
No, it's all of
it's
this.
above.
Okay.
It's above.
All right, well,
All
you
of
said
it.
Horton, so I thought.
I just want to give you a landmark to say
Okay,
push north from there. Yeah. Yeah. But that's about 2.6 acres of good hay ground, and it's been maintained for over what, 50 years? So under that wink handshake agreement with previous commissioners, that's
Yep.
not yourselves.
For me.
Well, that tells you anything. But yeah. If anything else, I mean, that's all I really had. More to follow on the 22nd. When's the next time that you guys would love to have an update? I mean, because I'm looking at the 27th as the big presentation. On July, because you said that it would be July.
22nd.
Yes, I did. July
Is it
22nd. Yes.
No.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah, let me write down the notes. Our next meeting is actually going to be this Friday, where we're going to bring down a schedule of volunteer days for cleanup and all that. So that's going to be Friday. It's going to be at my house because why not? You're all welcome to come. It's going to be predominantly the committee members. So
What time?
we were looking at 6 o'clock in the evening.
This Friday or next Friday?
You said
This Friday.
This Friday.
Yes. Cool. Beans.
Okay, thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I know Mr. Dunlap is here for our next discussion on address markers on cemeteries. Sir, if you want to come on up and visit. So he came to meet with Carolyn Brock with the township budgets and had some really great ideas to share with us on his thoughts on the cemetery. And then he was also going to bring a map to show us the cemetery at Pleasant Grove, which I just learned about at this meeting. So yeah, so do you want to open with your thoughts on you had requested address markers on the cemeteries?
Yes. Yes, why, I don't understand why not.
Yeah, he was just bringing up a really great point. He's like, when we went through the county and put address markers on things, the addresses for the cemeteries are something people will, come to rural Atchison County to find them, to look, they attend funerals there. There could be a need for EMS there, all the things. So,
Sure.
he just brought that to us and I thought, well, I'd never thought of that. And it sounds like a good idea. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't put them on our rural cemeteries, but.
Are you gonna define between public and private cemetery? What's going on, because
I don't think
we're looking at hundreds.
I don't think you could do that. You'd have to go to all of them. I think.
I don't know if the only ones
If-
from the township budgets were on the list. So he's representing Pleasant Grove, which I'm sorry, sir, but I don't know where the Pleasant Grove Cemetery is. So
Ellsworth Road
he's a taxing entity.
and to
38.
38.
Ellsworth and 230.
Yeah.
Be right south of Bill Bennett's old place area.
I know.
Right.
So how many taxing cemeteries do we have? That
Well-
many? Hundreds?
No, not
Okay.
really.
Talking about only cemeteries that are private
Yeah.
or
10.
ones that are
11.
Ten or 11.
have their own taxing district
I just,
or
when you guys asked, or when I was asked for a address, I realized at that point that there's no number. And that's what brought up the question.
how many hundred cemeteries would there be?
Well, if it's a problem, I'm okay with not doing it.
Well, I'm looking forward. It's like, well, what would be included, and then that would be 200. If you just say, I don't know if I said, if
Almost,
there's 100 there, it's
There's
100 times.
57 listed on finding grave.
Do they all have addresses?
14.
No,
We have
There's
14
taxing.
14 taxing ones. And when I just looked at Pleasant Grove, it actually gives you a physical address of 7875 238th Road. So,
That's
If-
probably because.
That gives you something.
if you give me that
Okay.
number,
you do have to have an address for a taxing one. So then the conversation would just be taxing.
Is that the
Yeah.
address for the cemetery or is that the address for?
I just Googled, or I went on MapQuest Pleasant Grove Cemetery and it came up 7875 238th Road. Again, I don't know if that's right.
That's
7875.
Never been, yeah, 7875 238th Road.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you're out looking for it, I guess.
There was even one of those, what do you call those boxes that people spend their time looking for? Cache,
A geocache.
Oh,
geocache. There was even one of them there once.
Huh.
Never heard of such thing.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay.
Are we done with that? Can I talk about it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Some of you will understand these people's names, and I think they're all dead. Here, take a look. That was the list of people in the district to begin with. And we have a lot of trouble being able to get board members because there's less than a third of those people still around. I mean, the amount of people in the district would be less than a third of that.
So, I guess, what's the problem you're trying to?
I would like to be able to, well, would it be contrary to normality to let people who want to be or who have vested interest in the cemetery be on the board?
Oh, you're trying, you can't fill,
No,
where is there something in writing saying that there has to be one of these people, or?
well, basically the taxpayers.
Have to look it up the statute,
Yeah.
that's why.
Okay.
He's listening.
That's what I was
Yeah, so
a little bit perplexed as to what the question was.
Yeah, so, yeah, I would think next of kin, if they want it to be. These are folks just in the community, is that what I'm looking at?
What year was
Used to
that?
be.
Well, I know, but he's saying that they're the ones that are left. They're just community members.
I would think any next of kin,
I would too. I would think that you could offer that up.
but that's not the way it's written there.
Directors must reside either in the county or counties in which the cemetery district is located or within 25 miles of the cemetery district boundaries.
Okay.
It says that. That takes away all the problems then.
K.S.A. 17-1330.
it's a good thing.
It does, doesn't it?
Take away all the problems.
That's a new
Wish we could do
statute?
that more often.
Adopted 1925, it was
Really?
amended 1988.
Well,
Was there something in your formation of this district maybe different that you were abiding by? And that's more of a public,
well. From this point on, I guess we could say, here, can you get anything out of this?
If it's a statute, probably Pat would be better.
What's the number?
17
1320.
30.
That's bylaw though,
Resolution.
not right.
You could have anybody in the county. Should be helpful, because.
That would be
surely
greatly
Any
helpful.
of their next to kin are still around and living in the county,
If you
maybe
look,
not in the section, but.
this is the map I was talking about, and you see where the boundaries are? For the district.
Oh, yeah. Mainly.
Yeah, and the statute I cited was the very next one in the book. That's 13 miles, so that's your unit, so.
It even goes through the middle of the section behind the Henry place, Henry Farm on parallel to 159.
Well, that's good. Then we answered your question and made it easier for you and
If anybody in the county can be on the board, that's great.
Yeah.
If that's not against any. But the districts were divided up to pay taxes on individual cemeteries. That's what they were divided for, right?
Yeah, they've created their own taxing district for upkeep on that.
Yeah.
There are cemeteries that have none. Probably started out as privates or. There is no fund or. Maybe an organization is taking care of it.
If you see no problem, then it shall not be a problem.
Pat, what was that statute again? 17,
we want to
Sorry.
what was that
move
statute?
forward with.
No, there's a
14
second one I found,
cemeteries to get address
17-1337,
Move forward. What?
and also
Cemeteries to go ahead and make a
17-1331,
motion to
and they
put
both
address
have
markers there.
language that directors have to reside in the county
I mean,
or
obviously it won't be,
within
just on the to-do
25
list to
miles
give
of the
direction.
cemetery district. bounds.
because we're not very busy.
Or-
Discussion.
Okay.
So that is a limitation somewhat,
Yes,
25 miles. Which still okay,
The county board.
just
Right.
like,
right, so anywhere in the county would be fine, and then, have to get out and see.
Just like
how
Tom
far into
Floyd.
Jefferson County.
he was,
Oh, I see. what
he's
you're
on
saying.
the board,
Yeah, because he's close.
but only because he
The
owns
district
land
close.
in the district. He does, his home place isn't in the,
Right, yeah, I don't see where there would be any problem when you get, I mean, they're a citizen of the county. Plus, when you appoint. There's no oversight by any other. Like you don't get it approved by the county or any place else, so I mean, if you have.
we could make a resolution internally in our bylaws to just include up to 25 miles away,
Yeah.
if that works.
Pat, do you
Yeah.
mind printing that statute real quick and then I'll just hand it to him and he can take it?
Sure.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Appreciate your suggestions and you coming and showing us your map.
Well, at least you understand, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, sir. All right, we have Mark Feltner, Finance Director, 2026 budget update and discussion with additions from 6/17. Yeah, we'll give you that statute. And then we'll just make sure to, on the 14 taxing cemeteries, do we want to give direction or want to talk about it, think about it?
I mean, what's the cost in establishing that address? What is that cost?
No, we, yeah, I mean, we recoup the cost at 250, I think.
You know whether we have addresses for all of.
I don't have a clue at the moment. It's not something I've researched.
Yeah.
Because traditionally they're not sites which. Some of them may have utilities, some of the bigger ones. May have utilities there.
Okay.
We do know private ones, definitely.
If there's
Well-
hundreds, we don't want to go down that.
Well. When I say private, that's wrong. The family cemeteries, no. The publicly acceptable private cemeteries like Memorial Garden and things like that would have, yeah.
Okay. Would you be able to get us a list of the 14 taxing cemeteries to see if there's addresses?
I will
Thank you.
dig information on cemetery.
I-
We can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or I could keep
That was
looking
bad.
them up if I have
Yeah.
a list of
We
them.
have a geodata file on just cemeteries now,
Okay.
whether they're broken down into private, public, family, whatever.
Okay.
We'll take a look at them, but there are way more than that, I know. And we constantly get people in the door asking us questions about cemeteries. What they can do with them and what they can't do with them. Wanting to move stones from one cemetery to another one, wanting to move graves from one to another. Wanting permission to privately enter and
All right,
work with things.
thank you. All right, Mark Zeltner, Finance Director, 2026 budget update and discussion with additions from 617.
Okay, so last week we had a 2 hour plus workshop about budget, where we were standing, or stood, I guess. Since then, there's been several things that maybe we talked about, but didn't make it into the figures that we discussed. So just kind of wanted to talk about those. I don't know, it kind of makes sense to add everything that was requested. So since that number, I added in the request from Kneecap. And when Travis was here, the request for the America 250th celebration. I know that you may not want to fund it, but I just plugged it in because that was the requests. When we were talking about the appropriations, you had said, plug everything in that was asked for. So I just plugged in those two organizations as well. I didn't hear from Brian on the figures for Memorial Hall. I don't know what that is. Of like the projects that was planned to do, or the maintenance or the upkeep. I think he had some of that, but I don't have that number. Also, I plugged in the projection from the countywide sales tax shortfall. I plugged that number in. We're gonna have an executive session later today over wages. So those will maybe need to be fine-tuned based on the new number.
What about? I guess that doesn't have anything to do with this, but then. What our appraiser came in with on that,
I think
that's just evaluations, but that's still, it's gonna affect.
Later.
It's not for an ask, but
Mhm.
it's still gonna affect.
I know Brian has a lot of irons in the fire right now. Do you think it would benefit all of us to just choose a capital improvement number and just as he prioritizes and gets numbers, we say, you know, this is what we budgeted, and that way you create kind of that capital improvement plan over the next, you know, several years versus, I mean, because I assume,
Based on what?
well, so the tuck pointing number, there's no way we're gonna get
No.
it, you know, and the roof, even if he just had a general roof number, for
Well, you know what though?
the membrane.
Not to interrupt, but
No, please.
that tuck pointing, if it's done the way Roger and Brian were both laying out. I mean, it's might be doable because they were isolating.
Yep,
They weren't,
doing the whole thing.
yeah, so that, it might be, but I no, I see what you're saying, but with the.
I mean, and actually, Brian could probably shoot from the hip. I'm just thinking, if we have, because the rubber roof was only one half of it, because the other half was fine. So if you had the roof and the tuck pointing, that would at least sustain the integrity of the building to,
Yeah, you talk about like the railing.
yeah,
Possible.
well,
Fixes.
so the railing, as I'm just sitting here thinking of community, look what the fabrication for the gentleman that's a veteran does the Wounded Warriors at the lake, like. He could be, and because watching basketball last week, I talked to some of the patrons sitting there and they agreed that just adding the same type of railing above versus like the glass and stuff, like, I think it would be better to, that was their feedback. It's just like another section of iron railing, like welded on there versus trying to do what they did down below.
Yeah.
But anyways, that, it just kind of sparked, maybe this turns into, you know, hey, how can we work together to
Yeah.
to use our connections to help, but so I don't know, do we want to choose a number or wait for Brian, or I know he's got a lot going on with the jail and different things that,
I'd like to, for some preliminary numbers, I can't
Okay.
imagine just coming up with a
Ballpark.
I can't do it in my head. I don't know.
You think he would be able to give us stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. And with that being said, we probably need to figure in that jail air conditioner. Because I'm not comfortable using that much reserve.
So I got an update from Jack and I forwarded that to the board.
Mind if I read yours there?
So in the minutes that day, it never did say that anyone voted on anything. It just said the recommendation from maintenance director was to move forward with Dunn Heating and Cooling since it was the lowest bid.
Okay.
We didn't vote on anything. No purchase order was done.
Okay.
So
The purchase order was done?
it was not.
It was
I don't
not.
see anything
Okay.
in the files or in the minutes.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was a ball that we dropped together. I don't know.
Either
But
way, is what it is. I think we should add that into the capital outlay for the sheriff's department, so we have it budgeted for. And they can schedule it.
it does say it takes about 22-24 weeks to build.
So that would be in line with,
I think the worry could be is the estimates may continue to go up if it's not paid for.
so,
I don't know what that looks like. If we budget, say, 200,000, it could be more than that when it comes time to pay it.
so question on that. So they give you a quote good through July 11th, whatever. If we vote to approve that, then it takes 24 weeks roughly to build, so 6 months, which gets us into 2026. So if we approve it, it locks our price in, and
I
then
think they want payment to lock in the price.
Up front.
Before all of
so,
it.
so then either way, we could budget under maintenance to replenish our reserve if we have.
You
to
could do
use
that.
our reserve.
Absolutely.
I just, that's getting
Absolutely.
so low that
Yeah.
it makes me nervous. And I mean, it's not a questionable expense. Like, we all were in favor of putting an air conditioner in over there. Because of the issues they were having. I mean,
Does that actually payment go like into an escrow or does it actually go to them?
No, I think they pay for it. It goes to the vendor. They pay for it and they order it. And it just takes a while to.
The mini splits or?
I'm not sure. It's no, I would,
it was a rooftop.
yeah, a
unit.
rooftop unit.
That kind of.
But yes, that is something you can do. You can pay for it now out of reserve, budget, budget to transfer that money back in.
You remember what the issue was with the whole unit? Is it just? It's past its lifespan and.
Well, that, I think it was 20+ years, and then
Yeah.
they came and assessed it and they could replace a part, but it wasn't guaranteeing the longevity of it. And for some reason, I feel like we did a Band-Aid fix and then something happened. And that's when he came back and he's like, I mean, and also it runs the jail, so you can't have,
No, okay.
if I remember right. But I also remember
That's,
we didn't do, but also to your point, if we watch the meeting, I
Yeah.
need to watch the meeting
Yeah, I'll watch
and
it.
wonder why we
This evening,
didn't do that.
probably. Home.
probably got on another subject, but
Well, and usually they'll hand us a purchase order, so if we didn't have the document, that's probably
yeah,
why.
Yeah. good point.
But- Okay,
All right, the other thing that could lower this budget, is I put together that lease purchase amount, between the election equipment of roughly 185,000 and the IT equipment and the county attorney server of 60,000. We could do. Let me back up. The total together for both of those is 245,000 in the budget.
235?
45.
40.
245,000. So if we did, and this is all dependent upon the election equipment warranties and what that looks like, as well as the IT equipment and server warranties. So of course, we can't do a lease purchase that goes beyond the life of the asset. But if the warranties were good and held up to this, I guess I'll just tell you, a 4-year lease for both equipment is about $67,700. A 5-year lease for both sets of equipment is $55,404. So if you put that dollar in, so either $68,000 or $55,000 is much less than 245. So it just depends on if you want to do it over a period of time or just hit it all at once.
Can we add that air conditioner to lease purchase?
I'm sure you could. Yeah. Sure you could.
Because I would think the life of that would be
Yeah.
well beyond that. So that could be helpful too.
We totally could do that.
Thank you for giving us those. Where did the mill end up after you plugged in kneecap and America 250? The only thing we're missing is Memorial Hall and then that
Yeah.
air conditioner, right?
This does include that sales tax shortfall.
Okay.
So we're at 68.090. Before those items, we were at 66.298. Of request
66.298.
0.298.
And the new revelation from Holly, is that not included?
It will not be included. I have to go off of Susan's numbers, and those is not affected off of that.
Okay.
So
So we really won't see that till
not
2026.
next year.
Okay.
I mean, you could, valuation wise, she said, based on that sheet, there was a number given, you could do a percentage of that, of how much ad valorem tax you would lose or have to make up. Probably about $20,000. This is percentage evaluation, that's not the ad valorem.
So they're actually not gonna have to pay those taxes on the watercraft in 26.
Right, but they will this year.
They will this year, but for this budget, we're figuring that they will be paying.
They will be paying them, yes, they will.
So we'll be part of that, like last year we were shortfall,
Mhm.
because there's
Mhm,
more exempt,
mhm.
it would be the same thing.
Yep.
Okay. Just
So. And we can continue to discuss this. I just wanted to provide you the information and figure out where we go from here. So, it will feed into the discussion next week. On the agenda, there's a 45-minute time frame to talk about the number we want to put on the intent to exceed R&R form that we will give to the county clerk. That number is what will be published to the R&R notices that goes out to each tax-paying property.
And what's the date on that?
The date that they will. What date do you mean?
The date that the last date we have to publish that. Or do,
It has to be
or
published 10 days before.
Yeah.
you meet.
Right, so that
At
would be
least.
Susan's,
calculation.
yeah,
So like you set up the meeting
Oh,
and then I have to get it published at least 10 days before.
Oh. if we were gonna have our meeting at Memorial Hall, August 26th. You would need to do it 10 days prior to that.
Well, so.
For some reason, I feel like we said last week we would get that number by July 8th.
We have to give it to her by July 15th.
Okay, and
So that's
So
why
the
we
8th.
said the 8th. is
Got
the
it.
time frame to give that to her.
Given to county clerk.
And I was hoping to have a week prior to giving it to her to discuss it, so
Yeah.
July 1st
Okay,
to discuss it. And with that, just so you guys can marinate on it, I think instead of shooting from the hip and choosing 57 or 62 or 29 or whatever ad valorem number you want to put in the box, I think setting a precedent and starting something new, whatever the requests are for that year is what goes in the box. That way, it's never a question of why did we choose that number? Why did we choose 57? Why did we choose 62? We know where it comes from. I have a concrete number of where it comes from. So I understand that it is scary when someone opens up the letter and it says 68, but that's just what it could be levied up to. I mean, I know you guys are the ones that's taking the criticism, so I understand that. But just for a numbers perspective, if someone questions you, well, where did you come from? You don't have to say, well, we just pulled it out of thin air. Like you have somewhere where you can back it up.
Yeah.
That's just my thought,
Yeah,
so you
and
can
it's
take it or
just an
leave it.
initial number. No, I think that's
But do
not a bad idea.
you want it like that only with no, I mean, just the request as written before we put it on a payment plan or do things like that? Do we want to take it down as much as we can with other budgetary gimmicks or before we,
Yeah.
do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
We could give them the scariest figure we could and then apply all this other stuff. But do we want to make it look as good as we can before, even if it's based on all the requests?
I think it is what it is, like.
Yeah.
But
This
there's-
is where we landed after getting the requests. And then it's twofold, like, that's easy to explain. We've been through this budget process the past couple months. These are the requests based on need that we've been given. And then we can have nowhere to go but down. And from that point of, even from the point of publishing it, we have internal controls of things we can make adjustments with and payment plans to bring it down. So we could show up to the hearing that evening saying, this is what was worst case, here's where we're at now. And then it's easy for the public to understand because they see all the expenditures. You know what I mean? Like, this is why. Here's the list of expenditures that it takes to run the county.
Don't think I'm on board with publishing that, because that, we've never published the worst case scenario figure, and I think we're gonna be scraping them off the ceiling.
Well, I'd rather scrape them off the ceiling with transparency of, this is where we landed. I mean, we're listening. We've entertained people coming and telling us their needs, and we have faith in our department heads to run their department as needed and not put any, I mean, to me,
Well, I think
I
if
think
there's
that's great,
things that
to
we
be honest.
actually know that we are, as a commission, ready to do, I think we take them off before we publish the figure.
I mean, so and because we kind of talked about that last week, right? Like, from the public, they watch our budget here meetings. They're not involved in the workshops. So I 100% agree with you. If there's something that the Board of County Commission can determine ahead of time that we feel could be a reduction, that's our job, right? Like, that's our job. So if there's things that we don't need public buy-in on that expenditure because we have control over it and we feel it should be here, like, absolutely. I see your point on that, like doing any due diligence of that we have control over, right? Which would be our appointed departments. But beyond that, knowing why and where the number comes from is very important, and educating the public on what it takes to run the county. I mean,
So to Eric's point, we have the public meeting, the notice goes out, we have the public meeting. what is the next piece of news coming from the county to the individuals of where it's gonna be, is there anything telling them how we cut, what we cut to get down to the final number? Because if they show up to the meeting and we have the total in front of them, is there something down the road that explains how we got to then the lower number? Is there something, or
Well, we may not have the answer that night because last year we set that figure, the RNR. And then after we had our budget hearing, we went and cut another one, and it's like $1.25 million after the budget hearing.
no, I know that, but in this case, what we're kind of spitballing is that you're gonna show them the total and then go back in and cut a bunch out, not just 1 point whatever, but you're talking about carving it up pretty good. We know that. So what I'm saying is, at least last year, you got to see a figure that was pretty close. If you were at the meeting, by that time, you saw a figure that was pretty close to the final. Well, they wouldn't be seeing that
Yeah.
at this one. They'd be seeing big one,
Mhm.
right? So is that
The only other alternative would be is we publish the scary figure, but then we have our own, by the time of that meeting, we have it down to
What you want,
what. But
or close.
I still think if we could get to that figure first, it's better. So like I say, we're not giving everybody heart attacks.
See, and I envision it that you publish what it is, so people know. They show up to our budget hearing, and at the hearing, then the finance director gives an update that from the time it was published, whatever we certified to the clerk July 8th, say, just for a rough number, it's like, here we are, August, whatever date you guys set, that the county commission has done their due diligence and they've landed here based on the requests. And then at that moment, we can also educate them on what it would look like if we did a sales tax for some of the initiatives that we had discussed, whether it's EMS or election security or whatever those are. We can show and explain it and educate them that you get property tax, ad valorem tax, or sales tax to run your county. And like a lot of other counties have lower mills because they're funding things with sales tax. And like being able to take that moment to explain to them before they see it on a ballot or have an opportunity to vote of like, we're trying, right? We're looking here, we hear you.
But you can do both though, can't you? Can't you publish the first number and the one that we've negotiated down to? Can't you do both or not?
Not on the form.
You can't do that, because to me, that would be another answer, to go ahead and show them the initial ask and then show them what we came down to. And then when they come to the meeting, you tell them how we got down there.
Well, so
So what he's saying is you'll see the better of the two, prevent a couple of heart attacks, and then come to the meeting and we'll explain how we got down there.
That was the number of the asks.
Right.
This is the route when we
Right.
set the R&R, and then what
Yeah.
to be determined.
So you would still leave it is what it is at the meeting to show them, like, this is where we ended up.
I wouldn't publish that as the R&R.
No, I'm just saying at the meeting so that they could understand.
Yeah, you
Like your
could tell
asks
them.
landed at 68.09 mils.
Right.
And we published to you that we're only doing this because we were able to do things.
Yes.
But at least it's easy and honest and to explain. And to your point, not looking back at notes of why did we do that? Like it is like, this is why, because this is the process. I don't know. People get frustrated regardless. And I think it's important to to see where we do end up. And then also being able to explain to the public some of the things that we fund and how that relates to our county, right?
We have to do that.
Yeah.
I think we have to do that.
regardless.
But
Well, I guess just taking it from, I was having a conversation with a family member and they keep every R&R notice for whatever reason. And they go back and they look, well, this year it was this year it was this, like, well, why is it up and down? Like, and so I was thinking like, okay, well, if you're keeping it every, and you want to know what the R&R is, well, why was it 57? Why was it this one? I don't know.
I see the point. It's
yeah,
like something,
that's a good,
but
probably logical.
They're like, well, if it takes 68 to run the county, you said it was 57 over here. Why was it 57 now 68? Well, it was never 57 of what it took to run the county. It was 62. But they don't know that. I know that, but they don't. So,
And when you pad it with cash, there's 4 mills approximately. So when you're like, what increased? Well, nothing. We utilized cash last year. We don't have it this
Yeah.
year. So that's why
Yeah.
you see the jump.
so I was just, that was why I thought of it. And well, if that's one way you can provide to the citizens of what it takes to do it, that's what the asks are. That's what will be in the box every year. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have.
You also kind of brought this up a bit at the planning and zoning meeting and mentioned that, like, something has to give, because people were talking about property taxes and you all mentioned like, what would you guys like to give up? So it might be a way of having all the information be out there so that people can kind of start to think about along the lines of your survey too, of
Yeah.
I guess I did have one other thing. On our budget meeting on August 26th at Memorial Hall from 6 to 8 p.m. You guys had talked about the regular meeting too. Did you want to start a little earlier down there to have the regular meeting before the budget hearing?
in fact, we probably have the meeting here.
Like during normal times?
Well, it could even be later, like 1 p.m. or
Okay,
2 or 3.
but just 6
That
to 8
day.
down there
Yeah.
is the, okay.
Okay, so let's, August 26th. So I still have our commission meeting with the actual time. So do we want to adjust that and make sure to have note of that? Or do we just want to meet like normal, go home, have a break, come back at 6?
That's fine too. That'd be
Just
the
stick-
easiest. And then we
okay.
wouldn't have to publish any of that.
Okay, perfect. I'm good with that if you guys are. And you guys will coordinate with Scott, so we have,
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
They're gonna put up chairs down there for us.
Okay. And will we have it set up the same east-west direction like at that town hall for the sports complex? I felt like that was a good layout where we basically were at tables in front of the stage and then we had an aisle and then chairs.
Okay.
Just.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll set it up. I think.
Will there be any, like a screen with where you can?
I
like
think we
the
should have something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. So you can pull something up and
Didn't we
Yeah.
have a screen at that too?
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
I thought so. Like um,
projector.
thank you, projector. I wanted to say PowerPoint, but yeah, projector. So that's good.
Yeah, because I think what we would want to do is display this column of 2026 budget per department, per appropriation. And so they can see that of what it is.
Yep.
Would it be beneficial to have the ask column and then a commission revised column so they could see what you guys reduced from the
I
ask?
like that.
I do too.
Like a commission revised one,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
something else.
I like that.
Which that means we're gonna have to go in and fill that out.
Work to do.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
We have the chair reporting. So. Okay. If we can determine what topic we want to do. Then maybe you could just. I mean, we could summarize this process or something. I don't know. Is there anything you guys want for a topic for the care? Before,
Did you already do one about the R&Rs coming out, the mailer?
no. So maybe that's a good idea though, like to your point of like sticker shock, right? When you get this, just know it's,
You're gonna do your due diligence to try and lower it.
yeah, this is the asks and there's nowhere to go but down. So like,
And it does say that on the form as well, that this is just a estimate, but it does not guarantee that's what it will be. But there's a lot of information on that form too, so a lot of black and white print to read.
but we could also get those dates on people's calendar of August 26th.
So that would be, have to be up by the 16th. Correct?
Yes. So even a week ahead of that would be great in case something gets missed.
Okay, but
And what is your plan? I mean, once we give it to you, just do it.
That's what was gonna be my plan.
Yeah.
what, I didn't hear.
Like, as soon as you give me the information, I was just gonna go ahead and,
Yeah,
So we know it's done.
So going hand in hand with that, are we still gonna do the survey and our brochure of information with that mailer? Because we talked about that, and so we need to kind of get on what that looks like.
Yeah, I think we stick to that.
Okay, so if our goal is to give it to you by the 8th, because you need it by the 15th, your goal would be to mail it by the 22nd? Or what's your goal, Susan? Just so we know when we need the survey done.
so. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I am not completely sure of the process because
Yep.
I have all the information in front of me, but a lot of it, I'm just like, I'm not exactly sure what that means. I don't know what work is gonna be entailed into getting from this step to this step to this step. I have, CIC coming back
Okay.
to help with the second half of all of this on the 17th and 18th.
Okay.
They're here.
So if
So
we could
what
have
would
this,
be, yeah, like if we could have everything ready before they get here. I think that would be super helpful to flow through to the next steps, hopefully like all correctly.
Okay.
Too, because it's my first time doing it all.
so for our mailers, July 15th, if we could approve them and have them printed, that would be ideal for you.
Yeah, so they're here 17th and 8th.
Maybe not printed, because if she's gonna, well, I guess depending on your plan, if you're gonna send it to the printer, we would just ask. you
Yep.
To maybe include that.
Yep. But at least the draft.
Right.
but all of the other entities that will have theirs all have to be put in and typed in too.
So, and
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, because I may not just be completely understanding all the steps, but I have a lot of the other ones because they met with Carolyn. And so we have like 20, I don't have anything in the school districts yet, I've reached out. I think there's like 10 that I don't have, that I emailed all yesterday. And so of those, there's only one that's exceeding, the rest of them all said no.
So there's some
So-
information that you'll put into the CIC system.
Yes,
That
that's
spits out the R&R notices.
exactly, and so that's what she's coming on the 17th and 18th to help me do.
Okay,
So that's why I'm hoping to have everybody's info so that
do it.
I can do it all
Yeah,
while she's
yeah,
there,
yeah.
yeah, so I'm pressing for it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
but
then they'll be ready to go to
again,
the print.
the deadline, I think, is the 15th, right? That they're supposed to have it
Yes.
to me,
Correct.
but I don't think that always happens.
Yeah.
You can always meet the deadline, so I'm just kind of trying to get it out there that it's especially important this year with me being a complete novice to ensure that I have enough time to get through the process correctly, because if something goes wrong with timelines or whatever, then people are we have to hold them to where they were last year if they wanna change, including the county. So I wanna have as much time as I can in order to not mess something up so that you guys don't get stuck having to hold. Or a school district or, whoever.
Okay. So we'll shoot to have our survey questions and informational sheet to you by July 15th. Sound like a plan? Guys? Good?
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree, yeah.
okay.
Did you want to add in those, given any thought to those calendar dates, like holidays and closure dates and stuff?
I loved your perspective and I don't know how that works with, since I've been here, it's been pretty much the same, especially since Juneteenth got added. The holidays are pretty much the recommendation every year is this is what we've done, this is what we've done, so. I mean, I think it would be helpful. That lady had a great idea, and if she could have something at home on her refrigerator to know, oh, I'm not driving to the courthouse today because they're not open. I mean, and that would just be a little section of the informational sheet, so.
I mean, it
I
could
think-
even be somehow on a piece of paper where, like with a dotted line to, with the scissors, like to cut.
Yeah,
And other information could be on the sheet,
Yeah.
something, to try to keep the cost as minimal. Too, because it's gonna be costly to send it out through that mail.
so calendar dates. I think that we should have a blurb and update on what we've done for the road and bridge facility. As far as funding allocated, where we're at in the process, that it's happening. I mean, so many people don't know those things, and I think explaining, I mean, because that's a big thing for the county of what we're happening.
So
But-
another recommendation was to send out definitions for that R&R mailer.
Okay,
Just to send out.
Definitions for the R&R mailer so that people can, because they look at it and they don't know what any of it means, but if you have definitions of
Yeah.
each of the terms and what this is, how is this calculated, it's just a suggestion that came up and to kind of help people, maybe people to understand that R&R mailer.
so maybe we can just start brainstorming on that and then. Um. 24th. How do you guys want to do that? Do we want to all compile a list of questions and ideas and then bring it next week and then we can kind of,
Figure out how to piece it together.
That sounds good to me.
does that sound okay?
Yeah,
Is that okay? We'll just kind of.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that'll also give us time to just ask people too, like, what would be beneficial? Like the county lake could be a good informational thing.
how much room are we gonna have? Just the front and back of one sheet? Is that basically what we're gonna have? Okay.
Sounds good.
And following our,
I don't remember. I think it's just one side of the sheet.
so you can have. No, you're fine. I was just, the informational brochure that we do for the fair. That's based on current budget numbers.
Yes. Yes.
I just don't know, like, I'm curious to know if that's helpful for people, because kind of to your point of this. If they see it. This many dollars this year and then they compare it next year, or
Yeah.
I was just wondering if that's. Also, but that was really good last year because you incorporated other taxing entities, remember? the charts so that they knew like, hey, this is the county, but here's the school district and here's. Didn't he do, I feel like he did that to better explain, right, when you get your tax bill. I feel like you had charts, graphs, pie graphs in there.
You know, I don't know.
Seems like it, but I can't pinpoint it.
That's fine, but so we can just bring information next week and then kind of go from there. Okay, well, we have 15 minutes until an executive session. Do we want to get clarity for Eric for his care recording?
I did not hear a vote on that.
We can go down a list of, you were giving him some ideas. I mean,
How long does it need to be?
I think mine was like a minute and a half or something, like just a couple minutes. I'm trying to look here. Mine was 2:11 last time and 5:18 in April for the May one. So anywhere 2 to 5
Get
minutes.
shorter. I think you just do it one more time, you'll be under a minute.
So, last week I had 2 topics and from feedback, I nailed one and not the other. So I just got rid of the other one and just went with what worked. So it was shorter. But yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go into workshop afterwards, or are we gonna have an executive session over what we talked about this morning? On my direction with the codes in place.
Oh.
I think maybe I need to talk to Mr. Cuckle before we figure out what we do, and then you and I will have to talk. I think that's probably premature to have much of a discussion with them, with the board at this point. Well, I just meant, if I'm to get pricing, if I'm to find out what this is all gonna cost, I'm not gonna be able to meet your deadline if I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I understand what you're saying, but am I making sense to everyone?
No, you are. And that was my fear of like having you go do these things. And then if it's a county installed culvert, we have to bid it out. So.
And that's what I'm getting at. That's why I'm saying, I think I need to have a discussion with Mr. Kuckelman to see if I think it's likely we're gonna reach a framework that we can build on before we go and do this other stuff.
So we'll put it on next week to have a follow-up,
Yeah.
or we can do it in workshop next week, whatever you want to do.
I mean, I'll tell you what, well, I guess we can't do that. I was gonna say we could meet another day here this week if it came to that, but that all has to be publicized, right? So we don't have that,
We can do.
but how far in advance though, you'd have to do
I
it.
think, if I recall correctly, maybe correct me, Pat, it's timely, right?
There's no set requirement.
Yeah.
It just has to be reasonable.
Okay,
Reasonable and timely.
well,
So
I'm
if
just
by
saying,
today and I put it out today, then
if we wanted to do that, if he wanted 24, 48 hours, whatever it took, then we could meet towards the end of the week and if not gonna
He
be
doesn't.
available Thursday or Friday. Okay. But yeah, but so when do you think, what time frame are you?
Well, I would
Do you
think next week
Okay,
we could talk about it.
that's fine.
I don't think you need to do anything before then, but I just want to make sure that, before I move forward, I have support. And I guess you're trying to find out what we need to move forward with, so.
Yeah.
So I will wait.
are you
for
happy
direction
to the full-time person?
from you guys.
Well, yes, when people are coming.
Oh.
See you, Joe. Thank you.
On the care radio, you could talk about the detours and roads.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Don't leave.
Hold on. Yeah, that's.
That is that's a good one.
The policy.
For the care radio thing, talking about the detours.
Mhm.
So. Proposed detours or just
I would,
road crossings or,
since we don't have detours, I would just put it that if you have a large load, you can't expect to go down a county or township road without potentially causing havoc, that you should stay on major collectors.
Follow roads.
Would that be the correct terminology? Major
With or without
collectors?
detours.
Well,
Don't-
follow road signs, follow county direction and road signs, you know?
Well, but
I
that,
think the big thing is, our county road policy with, our roads, you know, or through commercial, no commercial loads, you know, unless it's local. I mean, I don't know, you know, and read the resolution if you want to do that when we're, expecting delays. I don't know if we need to come up with a time frame of under so many days. This is it. The Ottawa Road project where it's gonna be a, you know,
Prolonged.
and the one we're having now is prolonged. We weren't expecting it to take this long, but we're not having a huge problem right now. But I will be contacting the engineering firm I already have in an email about the Ottawa Road project. But these smaller ones, you know, just let everybody know, if it says road closed, it's closed, and you need to find an alternate route other than. Yeah. Township road, I don't know, what do you think about it? I don't have an answer.
Yeah, appropriate for your load. You know, I think, how many people don't know that these producers out there, how many don't know where the proper route is for their load? I mean, they have to. I would think, you've been doing this for any length of time, you've got to know the routes.
The shortest.
Well,
I think there's very few
That's true.
roads
I
coming
get
through
that,
that are gonna go down Bourbon Road that aren't familiar with Bourbon Road. You're not from
right.
South Dakota and gonna come through that and route yourself on Bourbon Road unless you're.
We're picking up new signs today. And they have the resolution on them as far as. Commercial traffic. And we're gonna start with the roads that don't have them or signs where you can't read them. Just because we were trying to get it to where people understand what's going on now. You know, making that aware to the rest of the county and other listeners would be a great idea. You know, but how are we ever gonna stop all of it? But I wanna go look when I leave and see what I can do to make that better out there if there is something. But that would be a way to start, you know, we're not stopping commerce to go to someone who sells seed or someone who lays tile and he has to have his tile delivered in, you know, that's not what we're trying to go. We're just trying to stop the ones that don't need to be on the roads. I mean, I know that there's loads that go down 286. Coming out of a local town. You know, it shouldn't be going down 286. How do we stop that without policing it? I don't know how you do, and I don't think the sheriff's office has enough time to be sitting out there on those roads. And we're getting ready for the big 59 project, and those roads around there will be posted. Just trying to do the best we can.
You get enough.
Yeah.
Oh, real smooth.
There you go. Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Right, use restroom, we have 6 minutes.
You bet too.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you.
Hi, how are you? How are you? Good. Yeah,
today or,
I'm gonna be including you, so
oh,
you can assist me with that. That was a recommendation.
okay.
Mhm.
Trying to figure out how to put that into I struggled with it on hand. How to best phrase it, you know?
Mm-hmm. You want to write down for this executive session, commissioners,
A second.
clerk,
Clerk.
yeah. Finance. County counselor. HR. And health office. Minutes, but everything's. They're going to be published. Oh, how are you? Well, I had an email on my, but it's broken still, so I'm gonna try to find it on my phone to see there.
We ready?
Yep.
Attorney. I'll move the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 12:31 PM for consultation with an attorney for the public body, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319B2. And that the purpose of the closed session is to protect the confidentiality of the discussion, and that the board come out of executive session in 45 minutes in the commission room of the courthouse basement. And those present will be the three commissioners, county clerk, finance director, county counselor, HR, and Atchison County Health Officer.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0.
Is it possible for you to get us back the differences between you and the clinics, the services you provide? Is there an idea? Because I'd be curious to know, because this question about us having this clinic in town keeps coming up, that they keep mentioning that to you. And my question is, so what are the crossover services, and then what are the individual services that you guys provide that they don't?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. All right, so next we have Mark Ziltner, so finance director and commissioners, personnel, non-elected personnel matters of non-elected official wage discussion, 45 minutes.
Okay, I move the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 1:22 PM to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319B1. And that the purpose of the closed session is to protect the privacy rights of the employee. And the board will come out of executive session in 45 minutes in the commission room of the courthouse basement, and those present will be three commissioners, finance, and who else? HR?
No, just finance.
Just finance. Right.
Okay, I'll second, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0.
More than 15 then.
Well, 15 for non-elected and then the rest in
Oh, yeah.
workshop.
Yeah,
Is that
sure.
okay?
Well-
Then 15 minutes.
We'll make a motion, we continue our previous executive session for 15 minutes, same parameters.
All second, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is 3-0.
We're going back in for 15.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I don't want to make them do it and then something change and then we
Yeah.
don't want to meet for. I think let's just maybe think about it and then we'll come back next week.
Not a big discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next, Scott, you need something from us? Oh, my computer, yes, thank you. Okay, so. Right now, we are going to adjourn in budget workshop, is that what we're doing? Sorry, here you go, bud.
That would just.
Okay, so are we done then, I mean. I look for a motion to adjourn into workshop, and you have to do Carrigan.
So moved.
I'll second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye, passes 3-0.
No. No.
You've got a good radio, so I can hear.
You do.
Project,
Adios.
project that voice. And